All right, welcome to the channel or welcome back to the channel. This is Living the Denver Boulder Lifestyle and my name is Rachel Kennedy. Thank you so much for watching today. I am going to be going over the #1 suburb to live in the Denver metro area. And then I have 2 bonus suburbs to go over with you as well. So we're gonna go over the top 3 suburbs to live in according to niche.com. All right, let's get started. As I mentioned, I'm basing this information off of a niche.com article that I found talking about the top 3 suburbs to live in the Denver metro area. The #1 suburb that they mention is called Holly Hills. And I have a little bit of a bone to pick with them right off the bat because I technically don't think that Holly Hills is a suburb of Denver. Now, when I think suburb, I think a separate entity from the city itself, and Holly Hills is still a Denver address. So I feel like it's still like within the city. But let's keep going. We'll still talk about Holly Hills, even though I don't agree with niche.com. So Holly Hills is a small little pocket of a neighborhood south of Denver, right off of I-25. The population is right around 2,800 people. So again, super small little enclave. Check out the map so that you know exactly where it's located and kind of how big it is, how big it spans. This is a great option for city living that's removed from the city. So you don't want to be in the thralls, but you need to be close to the city. Holly Hills is going to be a really great option. And there's a lot of great options that are just like this, meaning that it's really close to the city, but doesn't have a city feel. It feels like a neighborhood. I think Holly Hills gets a mention because it has a very like Brady Bunch type of feel to it. The houses were all built in the 60s and 70s, so it really does truly feel like a Brady Bunch kind of neighborhood. There's some cool mid-century modern properties that you can find tucked in here. The neighborhood itself feeds into Cherry Creek School District, which is consistently one of the top 3 districts in the entire state. So a lot of people will move into and specifically target the Cherry Creek School District to know that they're buying into a really great school district. Niche.com mentions some walkability, which I totally don't agree with here. Holly Hills does not have walkability, and if somebody asked me to point them to a neighborhood that had really great walkability, this would definitely not be it. You can, of course, walk to some things, but it's going to be like a Subway and like a Benihana. Nothing, no locally owned restaurants or bars that are really there to speak of. So our housing prices are going to range in Holly Hills from $550,000 for a 1,200 square foot single family house on a decent sized lot that probably needs a little bit of updates, all the way up to a $1.3 million house, 4,000 square feet, turnkey, totally remodeled. So you really run the entire gamut. But what I really like to see here is that you do have some great potential for some value growth. So if you buy that $550,000 house that needs some work, you can easily put that work into it and increase your home's value, knowing that the homes around it are going to support a higher value. So if you're looking for some sweat equity, this would be a great neighborhood that's very well established, and the values aren't going to go anywhere. One of the other things I love about Holly Hills is the housing affordability. Now, it's no secret that Denver's housing prices have skyrocketed over the last 5 years. And for some, Denver can be hard to step into, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. But I love the affordability here in Holly Hills with such a great range of price points to fit almost any budget. One thing to keep in mind is that in Holly Hills, you're not going to find any apartment living or condo living. It's going to be all single family properties. Another thing to love about Holly Hills is that it's super close to Bible Park. Bible Park is a really big park here in the Denver area. Not quite as big as Wash Park or City Park, but it is a pretty popular park on this eastern side of the city that gets a lot of mention. So the fact that you're close to it, there you'll definitely run into some activities, some community events and stuff like that happening at Bible Park. You also have Cherry Creek Country Club right around the corner. The country club is filled with dining, spa, fitness center, the golf course, of course. So if you're new to the area and you're looking to meet new people, the country club will be a great spot for that. So what do I not like about Holly Hills? I don't like how close it is to I-25. You'll see that it butts right up to I-25. I don't think that the sound of I-25 would be prohibitive here. I think you're far enough removed from the highway itself, but I personally wouldn't want to live that close to the highway. And then the other downfall is the lack of walkability. So if you're looking for something that you know you want to be able to walk to dinner or walk to grab a cocktail, happy hour at the end of the day, Holly Hills isn't going to be your spot. So our number 2 suburb that niche.com listed is Cherry Creek. Now, I have another bone to pick with them here because where they have noted as the Cherry Creek suburb is not where the locals consider Cherry Creek to be. So you'll see on a map where Cherry Creek, the suburb that niche.com is mentioning, is located. And it's just south of 225 to the east side of I-25 and right near Cherry Creek State Park. Now, if you told me that you live in Cherry Creek, this is not where I would think you were talking about. I would think you were talking about the Cherry Creek Shopping District, which is located at First and University. So that's my number 1 bone to pick with them. We as locals would know this area as Greenwood Village, which is how the addresses show up. So if you buy in this area of Cherry Creek, your address is either going to be a Greenwood Village address or an Inglewood address. Now, I find this to be a little bit of a perk because you're sitting just outside of the city limits of the city and county of Denver. Now, some people consider this a perk because they don't want to deal with the city and county of Denver, especially if you're planning on remodeling or doing anything that would require pulling permits. The city is known right now for being a total nightmare to work with, and you'll probably be waiting for 6 months to maybe even over a year to get your permit. So our population here in the suburb is a little bit bigger than it was in Holly Hills, 11,000 people versus the 2,800 people that were in Holly Hills. So you can see that it's obviously going to be a much bigger area that we're talking about here. Not great walkability here in the Cherry Creek subdivision or suburb. You are right outside of the Denver Tech Center, and the Denver Tech Center again is our southernmost business hub. So there are a ton of restaurants, some bars mixed in there, but some fast casual and nicer restaurants. Shanahan's Steakhouse is there. So you have some dining options, but you would have to drive in and then get accessibility to being able to walk around. But it's definitely not an area that you would find a ton of people, walking the streets to dinner and a movie or something like that on the weekends. It actually kind of, the tech center actually feels more like a ghost town on the weekends. And this area does still feed into the Cherry Creek School District. So same as Holly Hills, you have a great school district to make sure that your kids get into, or whether you just want to know that the property is in a good school district for resale value, you won't have any problems here. The neighborhoods here are very, very well established, built anywhere from the late 70s, 80s, all the way into the 2000s. There aren't many new builds going up here. In fact, if you do find one, it's usually on a lot that was scraped and so a one-off. There's no new developments, no new subdivisions coming in this area. It is very well established. This is an area, probably one of the top areas in the Denver area that I would say your values are locked in, like so well established. The values will never go down in this area because of where it's located and just how well established the homes are here. A lot of the properties will have HOAs associated with them. So if you're not a fan of an HOA, this probably is not the area that you would want to consider. I would say 1 in every 20 listings had no HOA attached to it. All right, so as far as housing pricing goes in this area, you can start anywhere from $430,000 for a 1,600 square foot single family house, all the way into the $2 million range for a 5,000 square foot totally remodeled turnkey property. Now, one of the really, really cool parts about this area is that all of the lots are really decent size. In the city and county of Denver, a lot size is considered 3,125 square feet. Now, in this area, you're gonna get at least an 8,000 square foot lot, all the way up to a half-acre lot in certain neighborhoods. All right, so what do I love about this area? I love the accessibility to all the important stuff, the downtown Denver, the Denver Tech Center, and DIA. So if you know that you travel a lot for work, or you know that you're gonna be working in one of the business hubs, downtown Denver or the Tech Center, this would be a really great option as far as location goes. The commute from downtown Denver into this Greenwood Village, Cherry Creek subdivision could get up to a 30-minute commute if you hit traffic, which you could hit traffic fairly often. This is a really busy stretch of I-25. If you know you are commuting into downtown Denver, just keep that in mind that you'll probably be sitting in traffic. And then my favorite thing about this location is how close it is to Cherry Creek State Park. So it's no secret that Colorado does not have a ton of bodies of water here. And Cherry Creek State Park is one of only 2 lakes that we can use here. The other one is Chatfield Reservoir. So at Cherry Creek State Park, there is biking around the park. You can put motorized boats on the lake, tubing, jet skiing. You can also do, single floaty paddle boards, that kind of thing. There's camping. So it's a really great amenity to have so close by. It would definitely be a draw for me. So the things that I don't love about this area is the lack of walkability, but that's to be expected if you are going to be moving into a suburb. And a lot of the properties having those HOAs. So if you know you don't want an HOA, again, this probably isn't the spot to focus on. And then while you are super accessible to the tech center, downtown Denver, and DIA, the fact that you are on a busier stretch of I-25 does mean that you probably will be hitting traffic if you are commuting into Denver. All right, and the number 3 suburb that niche.com listed is finally a true suburb, and it is Castle Pines, Colorado. So Castle Pines is located 30 minutes south of downtown Denver, and that's a drive without traffic. So if you know that you're commuting into Denver, I would almost guarantee that your commute from Castle Pines into Denver would be at least 45 minutes every day with some traffic involved. Castle Pines is pretty special, especially for its scenery. It has this really interesting topography that is in the plains, but the plains start to get really, really hilly, and there are some rock outcroppings and some nice big pine trees. So you have this very quintessential Colorado feel where you can buy a property surrounded by big tall pine trees, and you can feel like you're really living in the mountains without having that elevation gain, which for some people can be a little bit tough. Once you go up in elevation, the air starts to get thinner, and if you have asthma or COPD, it can be a little bit tough. So keep that in mind if you're coming out here from sea level, that the elevation that you're moving into may be a factor, especially if you have some health risks. In addition to the beautiful scenery that surrounds Castle Pines, you're also super close to Castle Rock, which is the neighboring city or town. And Castle Rock has a really, really cute downtown area, really charming around the holiday season, restaurants, bars, locally owned shops. So being really close to Castle Rock would definitely be a perk. You also have a really decent commute into the Denver Tech Center. So if you know that you're going to be working in a business hub and the Tech Center is an option for you, but you know you don't want to live inside the city and you kind of want to have a little bit more room to spread out, Castle Pines would be a great option for you. The lot sizes tend to be oversized, a little bit bigger. There are a lot of gated communities in the Castle Pines area. A lot of them will have HOAs associated with them of at least $400 a month, but those will offer fitness center, neighborhood pool, neighborhood clubhouse. So you're definitely buying into a community feel. And Castle Pines does feed into Douglas County School District, which is again one of Denver's top school districts. They have had a little bit of controversy surrounding them over the last couple of years. So if you're considering this area and schools are a concern, I would definitely encourage you to do some research. So as far as the housing prices go, there's a really, really big range. We can find anything from $600,000 for an older 80s built house sitting on a half an acre that needs some updates, all the way up to a $5 million property that was built within the last 5 years, sitting on over an acre with over 10,000 square feet of living space to it. So you can see, we go from one end of the spectrum to the other. So the top 3 things I really like about Castle Pines is the fact that you can achieve a Colorado type living in the middle of the pine trees, have kind of like a secluded area, but without that elevation gain. A lot of times I have clients that'll come in and they really want that mountain feel living, but once they get up into the mountains, they just can't hang. So this is a really great option for you if that's what you want to achieve. I also love the location of Castle Pines. I love that you're set apart from the city, a pretty decent distance, but that the commute into the city isn't really that bad. As long as you're okay with a 30-45 minute commute, this is a great option. And I love how close it is to Castle Rock to make sure that you get that Main Street community feel. Again, it's super charming during the holiday season with the locally owned shops, restaurants, so lots to do in Castle Rock. If you're commuting into downtown Denver or DIA very frequently, I think that drive would get really old really quick. So in order to get to your Home Depot, your Target, your Whole Foods, you're gonna have to drive into either Castle Rock or up into Highlands Ranch, which isn't a big deal, especially if you know that you're buying in Castle Pines to be able to get away from all of the hustle and bustle. But if you know you're there every day, maybe Castle Pines isn't your spot. All right, that's all I have. Our top 3 suburbs to live in Denver, even though I really don't think that the top 2 are suburbs. I think I should probably put together my own list. What do you guys think? All right, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.